Clan fans. So, wow, episode 11 was definitely not what I was expecting. I did have a little bit of a suspicion about what was going to happen, but I'm honestly a little confused, but also I was honestly overall delighted by this episode, and the fact that it was written by Diana Gabaldon? I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. It was written by Diana herself. And you can honestly tell, because she includes so many character interactions that we honestly haven't seen a lot of the time. Not saying that they haven't interacted at all throughout 4 and 5, but I felt like there was a little more heart to it. So it was nice to see that, and yeah, let's get into the penultimate episode of Outlander, Season 5. So, the main thing that happens here is that Bree and Roger learn that Jemmy can actually travel through the stones. How do they learn? It's because the opal that Ottertooth had is apparently an indicator. So the second that Jemmy touches it, he feels like the opal is hot. And of course, Bree, Roger, and Claire also feel that. Jamie and Ian, however, do not. So this happens while young Ian is playing with Jemmy with the opal. And Ian is very, understandably, confused by this because he still doesn't know the whole time traveling thing, which is completely understandable since they never told him. But what I loved in this episode is that he actually does learn about the fact that Claire is a time traveler, and he puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Bree and Roger are as well. So now he knows, and it almost feels like he's kind of taking up the mantle of Merton away. Like he came back after he died, and now he's the one with the secret who knows that Claire is a time traveler. So, yeah, maybe that is young Ian's destiny in a way. So, honestly, like young Ian in this episode, I just loved his scenes. And you could also sense his pain because he also wanted to time travel as well, but of course Bree and Claire think that it's not going to work, because even if he were to go with them, he still doesn't have the genetic ability to do it, so they don't want to risk anything. And you can tell he wants to go back and fix something to do with his wife, but I don't know if we're ever going to learn more about that, maybe in the finale, because we still don't really know the full story about that, so either in the finale or season 6. But yes, so young Ian actually ends up being the one asked to take Roger and Brianna to the rocks. Sorry, I should say stones, not rocks. So this is the stone circle that Roger had found in the last season. He was tempted to go through last season but decided not to. So he still has the stones that they can use to transport back to their time. So before we get into that moment, let me just say that the goodbyes between everyone, so heartfelt. Like Marsley calling Bree her sister, and when she had to tell Lizzie that she couldn't come with her and to stay and watch her parents for her, and Lizzie's, just what she said brought tears to my eyes, because we don't really get to dive too deep into Lizzie's story, and this is the moment when you realize, yes, she really has been there for Bree the whole time. She tells her that she was there through her darkest moments and there to raise Jemmy, and she saved her. That was just so sweet. I hope Lizzie has more time spent on her character in season 6. I know she has something to do with the Beardsley twins at some point, but the way events are happening right now. I don't know if they're going to introduce that in the finale or next season, but we'll find out. Anyway, yes, just her goodbye with Bree was so sweet and heartfelt, and it made me appreciate her character even more. So yes, hopefully more Lizzie. Then of course there's Ulysses, who is actually hiding on Frasers Ridge because of the unfortunate murder that he had to do last episode. But Claire and Jamie are there to give him shelter, bring him food, and he actually does inform them that he is technically a freed slave. So he has the paper which shows that Jocasta signed it. Unfortunately, this act was witnessed by none other than the man he murdered, Gerald Forbes. Good old Gerald Forbes. So unfortunately, because the man that witnessed the act is now dead due to him, his paperwork probably won't be too helpful. However, Lord John does pay a visit in this episode. I just love when he comes on screen. It's like a breath of fresh air. Love his character so much. So he comes to visit Jamie. He's actually going to London because Lord Dunsany has passed away, and now he has to deal with the estate, which now belongs to William. And William's actually in school, we learn, in London. So it kind of takes Lord John off the map for a little bit, but we will see him again. And he's also taking Ulysses with him, so that way once he's on a British ship, on British land, he will be safe. So, yay Lord John, you always save the day. And honestly guys, the fact that even if a black man murdered a white man just to save the lady that he serves, he'd still get in trouble. Like, what is that? Honestly, society was so messed up back then. Still a little bit now, but not as bad. But yeah, I'm just glad that Ulysses is safe. He will be fine. Thank goodness. Let's see. Oh yes. So the big thing, there's two big things. We see the Browns again. You guys know how I feel about the Browns. They're the new Bonnet. So Lionel Brown and his brother come up and they're basically forming a safety committee. Like I believe that. And they're asking if Jamie and his men will join the committee, and he is to give an answer soon. So Jamie says, yeah, I'll think about it. And Claire goes to tend to Lionel Brown's leg wound. And while they're in there, you can tell that Lionel still has his gruff feelings about his daughter being taken away. And for a moment, it kind of seems like maybe he and Claire click, because he's like, what would you do if your daughter was dishonored? And she's like, yeah, that happened. But unfortunately, that small microscopic truce does not last. So later in the episode, Lionel brings his new wife, who has a broken wrist, and gee, I wonder how that happened. Domestic violence, anyone? So of course he's not going to admit it, and she's not going to admit it in front of him, but he does leave at one point when Claire requests him to get some whiskey. And of course the wife tells her what happened, and that she's actually trying not to have a child with him because she's afraid that he will hurt it. So she's been listening to Dr. Rawlings' advice in the newspaper. Remember Dr. Rawlings' advice? Something Mrs. Fraser wrote? Unfortunately, as good-hearted as this was meant to be, this has unfortunately come back to bite Claire in the syringe. And Lionel, when he's in the medical surgery, he sees the box with Dr. Rawlings' name on it, which is where Claire got the name from. So, suspicions have been met. So Lionel rushes his wife out of there, and we don't know what he's planning quite yet. I will get to that, but I want to leave that for the very end. So, of course, Bree and Roger's time to leave comes, and the night before, I loved this scene, Claire serves them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which she had mentioned earlier in the opening scene, which saw them finding a cabin that was destroyed, and you wonder who did it. Maybe the safety committee? Huh. Interesting. So, she mentioned that she wanted Jeremiah to try a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at some point in his childhood. So, of course, she has saved those peanuts, and she has made the sandwiches for their goodbye party. And honestly, like, this scene was just so pure. I love Jamie trying to eat the sandwich with a fork and a knife. I loved that. Like, young Ian figured out how to eat it, but Jamie was like, okay, this is what you do, right? And honestly, just the scene was so sweet. Before the storm comes, of course, you gotta have some sweetness in there. So, Bree and Roger leave with Jemmy and Ian, and 2 weeks' time they arrive at the Stones, and you hear the buzzing, and you know, yep, okay, sure. But you guys aren't actually going to leave, right? Because technically that's not supposed to happen till the next book, right? I'm pretty sure, because doesn't she have Amanda in the 6th book? Because we didn't even hear anything about that pregnancy before they left. These are the facts that I know. I don't quite know the order, but I know that there's supposed to be another child, at least, that was born in that time, I'm pretty sure. So I thought in this moment that they were going to be like, no, you know, we can't leave. And then they'd return to the ridge to find what had happened. And they'd be in the finale there at the ridge. But, like, as they're inching closer, I'm like, yeah, no, don't touch it, don't touch the stone. They do. And they disappear. Young Ian sees it. Hashtag true believer. And I was like, have we married season 5 with season 6? Or rather, book 5 with book 6? Did they know this pandemic was going to happen and that filming would be postponed? Time travelers. Maybe they do exist. So, yeah, they did travel. However, when they wake up, Jemmy runs off while Bree and Roger look confused and a little stunned, and Roger's like, what the heck? And we don't know what they're seeing. So, did they not end up back in the future? Is this like the storyline that's not until book 7 or 8? I'm so confused, guys. Because I know some facts from the book. I know a few facts from the future books as well, but I don't know enough to like put it all together. However, I do know what is supposed to be in each book. So, interesting that a lot of moments from future books are ending up in season 5, which is concerning me, and I will get to my concern after I finish my recap. So, yes, they travel back. Claire and Marsley are in the surgery while the men are tending to the land, so life's pretty much trying to go back to normal for them. However, normalcy does not last on Outlander. That is rule number 1. So while the men are outside, they hear an explosion. They see that something has happened at the still. What has happened? We don't quite know. But if you guess a diversion, yep, that's a pretty good guess. So while the men go to see what has happened, Claire is tending to a patient with Marsley's help, and that is when it happens. The men attack Claire, Marsley, and the patient, killing the patient, knocking Marsley unconscious, and kidnapping Claire. And who are these men, you might ask? Oh, I don't know, maybe the safety committee? Yeah. Yeah, you definitely feel safe with the safety committee. If anybody ever wanted to make an ad, that'd be a great tagline and picture for them to show. So yeah, Claire has been kidnapped. And this technically was not supposed to happen till book 6. But I actually theorized that this would happen in the finale, not the penultimate episode. So we will be getting it in the finale, but in a different, like, more of the story in season 5, rather than leaving it as a cliffhanger that she's been kidnapped. So when Jamie and the men return, Jermaine, who was there as well, hiding under the bed, saw everything. He goes to tell them. Jamie freaks out, and he goes to the cross on the hill, and he lights it, which means he is calling his men for help. And that is where we draw the line at episode 11. So, what happens with Claire, I have read this part. It is a very, very dark storyline, and I am not looking forward to seeing what happens in the finale because of it. And as you guys know, rape is a big subject in the show, and unfortunately it will most likely come to play in the finale because it does come to play in the storyline. And yes, it's very dark. So everybody, before you watch episode 12, brace yourselves. It's gonna be a little bleak. Oh, I just hope they rescue her by the end. Yeah, this is not the finale I was expecting originally. I started theorizing it, like, closer to the end, because I honestly didn't know what happened at the end of book 5. But apparently this is what's going to happen in season 5. So yeah. Not looking forward to that. But good episode. Diana's writing style really showed, like I said, and I loved all of the character interactions. For the most part, it was a calm episode until the very end. You did feel a little suspense with the Browns, of course, because they are not to be trusted. Don't trust the Browns. Only in Outlander, I mean. But yeah. I knew they were going to come back because I was told. I didn't put 2 and 2 together that these would be the men that would be kidnapping Claire. So now I know. Yeah. So, as far as season 6 goes, I don't know what's gonna happen now, because at this point anything goes. Seasons are blending into seasons as far as the book subject matter goes. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with season 6 when it comes along. But I'm not gonna jump into that before I see the finale, so let's skip that. But let's talk about what Bree and Roger might be seeing at the end. So there is the point where they do return to their time and live their lives normally in the future. But there's also a point when they do time travel again, but they go further back into the past. But they're in Scotland when that happens. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can honestly give a good theory for this, because it's a little confusing how they're going about this. Confusing doesn't mean it's bad, it just means they're changing things from the book so we don't entirely suspect what's going to happen. Also known as making it a surprise. So, yeah, well, we're going to have to see what happens with that. Now, with season 6 filming, we don't know when that's going to happen. It was supposed to happen this month, honestly. This is the month they were going to start filming, and now they can't. Now, I don't want them to do anything that's going to put them in harm, so if we have to wait another 1.5 years for season 6, that's how it has to be. But I am very grateful that we got season 5 during this. Like, it's been keeping me sane. As weird as that sounds. Just to have something to look forward to. And I know that the story will continue. I'm very hopeful that they'll start filming maybe like midsummer, possibly late summer. I'm sure there will be some safety protocols figured out by then and they'll be able to start filming safely. But yeah, you know, this is life right now, but I'm hopeful. And yeah, I will admit a concern that I have as far as the seasons go. So there are 8 books total. There's supposed to be a 9th one coming out soon. Still don't know when, but there's more story that we don't quite know. Like, we don't know what happens or anything. What I'm afraid of is that if they are blending scenes from the other books into the current season, I'm wondering if they're concerned that they won't be renewed for season 5 and season 7 and 8. Because 6 was confirmed. That much we know. We don't know about 7 and 8, which would cover book 7 and book 8. And of course, if a 9th book came out, maybe they would consider a 9th season, like as the finale. But if the question of renewal is up in the air, I think maybe they're trying to get as much content from the books in as possible. So it's hard to say. This is just my thought on the matter. I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to see more seasons. I will bawl my eyes out when the show ends, no matter what season it is. But I hope they at least get a few more seasons in there, because there is so much more story to tell. And I'm really looking forward to it. Except for the dark parts, but you know. Can't have a Outlander without drama. And I feel like there was a thought that I was having before, and my train of thought has, like, derailed. So, if I was talking about something and I didn't get back to it, I apologize for that. My brain is, as they say, quarantine brain. But, guys, I want to say something that will be exciting for my final video for season 5 coverage. So I would like to introduce you guys to some of my fan art that I've been doing of Outlander. So I'm gonna do that in the finale. I hope you guys like it, because honestly, my work needs some improvement. I have improved some, but I have trouble drawing faces. I don't know why I do, but I do. They're simply not easy, but it's been a fun challenge that I've been doing, like, pretty much for a whole year, actually. Wow, I didn't even realize that. And I was inspired by an Outlander group that I'm a part of on Facebook. and they always have like a fun art competition every week. And while I was seeing them draw and create all this fun fan art, I was like, I really need to get back into drawing, because I honestly hadn't been for a long time. I was a little insecure about it because people made me feel insecure about it. But then I realized this would be a fun way to get back into it because it's something a little different from what I was doing before. And I love costume design. It would be a fun way for me to explore how the costumes are. So yeah, I would love to introduce you guys to that in the next final video. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And guys, final video next week. Can't believe that. And it's not like the final video, but for the foreseeable future for now, I might cover more shows, possibly Netflix's Hollywood show, which is a good show so far, but I might cover that in another video, so we'll see. Alright guys, tell me what you thought of episode 11. What do you think is going to happen in the finale? And what do you think is going to happen in season 6 when it comes along? Let me know your thoughts. Alright, I will see you for the finale. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong. I'll see you soon. Bye.